Everyone, please take your seats. We're just...
Check.
The second they enter the entrance, they take their seat. They come to sit and then we start? Yeah. Okay.
No, they sit together. I had said they take their seat. Yeah. Instead they want to sit down. They want to sit down. Maybe sit there. Yeah. First one.
Everyone, welcome. Please take your seats. We are starting in just 1 minute. Thank you for taking your seats and thank you for coming. Everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. We are about to get started. Please take your seats. Thank you.
Right. So we're all seated. Hello. Habari. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
All right, we'll get to know which countries you're from in just a second. Whoever was in Mongolia knows how we get to know where everyone is from. But we're really excited for today for very obvious reasons, but we'll find out even as we continue to discuss for the next couple of minutes, couple of hours. Thank you very much to all of you joining here and online at the World Trade Organization. Thanks as well to the WTO doing the Aid for Trade Global Review. We're very excited to have you here with us. My name is George Indirango, Global Moderator. I'm here with
Susanna Pak of the International Trade Center.
Woo! Wait, so you're only going to clap for Susanna?
It was for both of us.
Thank you. All right, there we go.
Yes, so this is a very special day to celebrate both the big and the small. We're marking the big 6-0, the 60th anniversary of the International Trade Center, and this is happening on UN Small Business Day.
Absolutely. So let's have some fun today. I know you've been having a host of conversations over the last few days, but for now we've got a fast-moving program, some surprises for you up until the end, and then wrapping it up with an Afro-Caribbean reception at the entrance.
Who's looking forward to that? So as we get started, we do want to acknowledge who is in this House of Trade. We welcome UN Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed. Thank you very much for coming here. As well as African Union Commissioner Albert Muchanga. Thank you very much for coming.
We also have the UN Trade and Development Secretary General Rebecca Greenspan, who's here too. And of course, the Deputy Director General at the WTO, Shangsheng Zhang, who's here as well with us. And we see the ITC family as well represented in the house.
Show of
ITC.
hands. ITC. Wow. So we'll be hearing from all of these esteemed guests this afternoon, alongside, of course, the entrepreneurs, the stars, who have unique stories of resilience, drive, and creativity that resonate across borders on a very human level. To get us started on the right note, a quick quiz. Georgie.
Right. Thank you, Susanna. Let's play a game. Again, as we mentioned, if you're in Mongolia, please just let the others play. We're going to hear the remarks from the ED, Pamela Cook-Hamilton, in just a second. But before that, what we're going to do is we'll go from A to Z. If you hear the letter, shout the country. A. Ambassador Albert Muchanga. He said Africa right at the beginning.
I think that's a continent. AFCFTA.
B. C. D. E. F. G. Aquaba to our Ghanaians. H.
Haiti.
I. J.
Woohoo!
Let's just represent East Africa one time. K.
Kenya.
L. M. N.
Yay!
O. P. Q, R, S, T, U,
Ukraine.
V, W. Wales is not a country.
Does that count?
Actually, they have a football team. X. Yeah, the room got pretty quiet. Y.
Yemen.
Z. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Round of applause. Right. Let's keep that same energy. A bit of housekeeping for everyone who's going to tweet, everyone who's going to post this on social media. The hashtags are ITC60 and SME Day. Just remember those two hashtags. For everyone online, please feel free to interact with that as much as possible. It's my absolute honor and pleasure as we kick things off to welcome the ITC Executive Director, Pamela Cook-Hamilton, to the stage for her welcome remarks.
I need this? I believe so. Okay. Well, it's a full house. It's good to see everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Good afternoon. Thank you. And thank you for joining us for our 60th anniversary. 60 years is no small feat. We know this. I'm 60 next year, and I can assure you I feel every year of it. And the world that we're living in now is one that few could have imagined when we first opened our doors in 1964. But throughout all these years, one core truth has stayed the same. It goes back to the first thing I tell people when I tell them about ITC, that trade fundamentally is a human story, one that comes with great highs and lows. I'll start with the lows because we cannot afford to forget the risks that we face. We know that at its worst, trade can cause immense harm, one that transcends generations. We've seen that acutely with the slave trade, whose horrific legacy haunts us to this day. We've seen that with the environmental harm that trade has wrought when it's pursued without regard to consequences. We've seen that when trade politics and policies don't account for what the outcome may mean for women, for young people, for vulnerable communities, for small businesses. But we've also seen how trade can help us write a far better human story. And that's where we've witnessed some extraordinary highs. We've seen how trade can help right past wrongs, how trade can help people achieve their dreams, how trade can be one of our greatest teachers. Those are the stories we'll be talking about today. Stories about resilience in the face of huge odds, stories about creativity and innovation, stories about forging connections across oceans, continents, and centuries of history, stories about how we can save our planet, stories about inclusion, fairness, and equity. These are the stories about small businesses and the people behind them. We may call these stories by different names: the value chain development, regional integration, green trade, digital trade, inclusive trade. But at the end of the day, every one of them is about people who dared to imagine how they could make other people's lives better. And they did something about it. These stories inspire us every day at ITC to strive for more and to do even better ourselves. They make me hopeful for what ITC's next 60 years might bring. I'm now delighted to introduce our keynote speaker, United Nations Deputy Secretary General, Amina J. Mohammed, to set the stage for our celebrations today. Deputy Secretary General, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Excellencies, and my dear sister Pamela, my sister Rebecca, and brother, of course, Commissioner Buchanga, who is from the largest country in the world, Africa. distinguished guests, dear colleagues and many friends in the room, really delighted to join everyone here today to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the International Trade Center and applaud the unprecedented leadership of Pamela Coke-Hamilton and the day-and-day commitment of the ITC staff here and around the world. Let's give them a round of applause. I think this is an incredible achievement. We always know the big agencies of the UN, but the glue that keeps us together really is about the small agencies and what they bring in terms of the quality of the delivery of UN promises. 60 years on, an amazing journey impacting millions of lives, especially women. ITC has been at the forefront of uplifting economies of the world and enabling entrepreneurs to become the critical backbone of every society. But for ITC, there is no slowing down. And from its start as a source of trade intelligence and technical assistance to developing countries, to its evolution into an all-round led development agency, ITC has been supporting developing countries to make the most of a global trading system, as difficult as it may be. This week, we have seen how WTO has led the Aid for Trade Global Review and the critical work ITC plays connecting global to local. But we've also seen how UNCTAD, its birthday not so long ago, has led with evidence-based policymaking and beyond. And I still, with Geneva, take credit for it. Some amazing policy work came out of UNCTAD when we faced the Black Sea Grain Initiative and the leadership that was needed beyond Europe to all parts of the world. And so my visit here to ITC headquarters earlier this year, when I met with Pamela and some of her teams, was really a demonstration of how they were leaving no one behind, including the smallest and the most vulnerable amongst us. Your work matters now more than it ever has because the world can't afford to leave anyone behind in the transformations that are ahead if we are to be fit for purpose, if we are to ensure that every person in every part of the world has a right to a life of dignity. We stand at a pivotal moment for the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Last year we heard in the stocktake that we haven't done so well, and so to catch up in 6 years, that globally agreed blueprint for people and planet, we all have to get the shoulder behind the wheel. It is a tipping point for our climate crisis, a make or break scenario for poverty, for hunger, and we've heard how the G20 Brazilian leadership has taken that up in its alliance for hunger and poverty. But also gender equality, environmental degradation, the debt sustainability, and many other challenges that are leaving the fate of future generations in the balance. Yes, making these statements can often fall on deaf ears. Crisis fatigue can set in, and immediate problems can take precedence over long-term existential threats. But we can't let that happen, and we can't give up. Nearly 80 years ago, the UN itself was born in the ashes of conflict, after 2 world wars destroyed lives, shattered trust, and left the global economy in tatters. It was an audacious gamble, and more, an act of hope in the face of the unknown. At that time, few would have guessed the good that the new international order, underpinned by multilateralism, would do. And that's what we must hold on for. For in all these crises and uncertainty that we face, we have achieved incredible feats, improved millions of people's lives, and brought hope out of despair. Since opening its doors in 1964, the International Trade Center continues to work tirelessly to make lives better through trade. You have improved lives, you have connected communities and countries, and given voice to those who represent the backbone of the global economy, small businesses. Last year alone, ITC worked in 144 countries where we saw significant transformational change. And I can tell you that because now we have an independent and impartial resident coordinator system in 131 countries. And we bring back the voices of many countries who were not able to tell us their stories, or who were not able to really speak to us about the work of the United Nations at the country level, and the voices of what ITC was able to bring. Thank you for that, Pamela, because we heard it loud and clear in New York. We have heard it in Geneva, but I'll tell you, hearing it in Paris, in Vienna, in Nairobi. In Côte d'Ivoire and Sierra Leone, ITC's She Trades project allowed a major cashew exporter to add more than 1,500 farmers to their supply chain. Women who are also working in this area now receive better extension services that suits their needs. And I heard at the World Economic Forum in China just this week how those extension services can be scaled at such a rate and speed with new technologies and AI. In Ukraine, digital freelancers who receive training from ITC are now able to earn a good livelihood for themselves and their families despite the ongoing conflict. Thanks to the ITC Central Asia Gateway, the business community in Tajikistan already estimates that their business costs have gone down by more than $1 million US, and similar benefits are expected throughout other countries in the region. In Mongolia, youth and eco-entrepreneurs are celebrated last year in the World Export Development Forum for their business solutions to major challenges. These are just a few examples of how ITC is making a difference. As we celebrate the 60th anniversary, let us never forget that every trade deal, every policy and every initiative represents real people with real hopes and dreams. And as we heard at the beginning, that this is a human story. Keep on building bridges, fostering international cooperation, partnerships, and learning. Above all, I hope that we never lose faith in our ability to drive positive change. This is at the very DNA of ITC, and it makes every one of you a part of the UN system's great success stories. I'm convinced that the best is yet to come. With more trials, with more challenges in our world today, it is if we dig deep, we find that that well is full and can be shared. As we look ahead to the Summit of the Future in September and to the 4th International Conference on Financing for Development next June, we certainly have a lot to lift and a lot to look forward to. We count on bringing bold ideas and ambitious contributions forward to help accelerate action on the Sustainable Development Goals and to deliver for all. Particularly today, we should give thought to our women and our youth and to the generations that are yet unborn. And we must make sure that leaving no one behind today means securing a future of inclusion for everyone tomorrow. So thank you. My warmest congratulations to the ITC family. Happy birthday.
So,
It's your birthday.
yeah, it's my birthday. So not only are we celebrating our birthday, it's the DSG's birthday. So we brought by special delivery, wrapped up in love, a pashmina scarf from the communities in the Himalayas going back centuries. They have been, my understanding is that Chiranga, I cannot pronounce it, but if somebody tells me how to pronounce the name of those goats, I'd be very happy to learn how to do this. But they're the special goats that make cashmere. And they have been hand woven and spun. And in addition, they were dyed in Kathmandu by women and then brought in for you specially for today. So, happy birthday. Thank you for being here with us, and we appreciate so much. Can we sing happy birthday? Day to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear DSG. Happy birthday to you. Okay, thank you so much. I'd now like to give the floor to 3 other people whose footsteps I've been honored to follow in the role of ITC Executive Director. Those who have helped shape ITC to what it is today, and who know better than most how hard-won this milestone of 60 years actually is. On my behalf, I can tell you this: leading ITC these past 4 years has been the privilege of a lifetime. That's because of the people I've met along the way, the small businesses we are proud to serve, the funders and partners who put their faith in us, the individuals who chose to work at ITC because of what we could achieve together. These people have inspired me and my predecessors to dream big and fight hard on ITC's behalf, so that together we can keep changing lives for the better. Dennis, Patricia, Arantxa, the floor is yours.
Bonjour, bonne fête à tous ceux et celles qui travaillent présentement au Centre du commerce international. 60 years of age is a long time and a remarkable accomplishment for any institution. Not all have done it. ITC did because of the pertinence and hard work of 3 generations of people who believed in trade as a tool for development. And judging from the drive of the team presently at the helm, my impression is that you're there for a long time. Perhaps 100 years. At least I wish you get there. I regret only that I won't be there for its celebration. Again, Godspeed to you all. Longa vida el Centro de Comercio Internacional. Et salutations bien amicales à vous tous. Merci.
Happy anniversary, ITC. 60 years already. You have reached maturity, accumulated rich experiences, and in the process, helped many people and countries grow their exports. I was honored to join your organization when you were only 40 years old, and to be the first woman, in fact, the first Black woman, to become executive director. Consecutive women leaders have grown this important organization, and now that the WTO and UNCTAD are also led by women, there is much to celebrate from the gender and leadership perspective. I recall in spring 2006, at the Joint Advisory Group meeting, when I was still ED designate, the Minister of Gender from Cambodia asked me what was I going to do for women, as I was now the first woman to run a global trade organization. I quickly whispered to my predecessor, Dennis Belil, asking him, what were you doing for women in trade? Following his response, I promised the minister that by December 2006 Joint Advisory Group meeting, I would have a comprehensive program to present. And so, with the help of Meg Jones and the funding from the UK, we launched our first comprehensive Women in Trade program at ITC. I wish for the management and staff of the organization continued success. You are more relevant today as countries face the rapid rate of change from technological, climate, and geopolitical shifts. Congratulations and thank you.
Dear ITC, happy birthday. You're turning 60, and in these 60 years, you've seen a lot. You saw a world divided by a Cold War and the fall of the Berlin Wall, with the beginning of a new order shaped by many more voices and many more players. You saw the growth in the economy and the exponential increase in international trade. You also saw the explosion of inequalities, of concerns about climate change, of demands that women entrepreneurs and young startups also be part of international trade. And in these 60 years, you've been relentless in your desire to achieve trade impact for good. Make sure all players, small, medium, here or there, can connect to international trade. Today, the world is witnessing the risk of a new fragmentation. And this is why today, like in the past, ITC needs to keep making the case for a strong multilateral trading system, one that works for all, one that helps the small and medium enterprises anywhere in the world continue to trade their way out of poverty into prosperity. So, dear ITC, stay the course. From wherever I will be, I will proudly keep on cheering for you. Happy birthday, bon anniversaire, feliz cumpleaños.
Our thanks to all of our executive directors, including our current executive director, for those nice messages. Now we are about to get musical with sounds from the Caribbean. So let's welcome social-minded singer-songwriter Lily Octave of Dominica for this next segment, who worked with us as part of our Creative Industries project for an original song written just for this occasion. Lily Octave, you're welcome to the stage.
In a world where the odds are against you, that's when I'll come through to give you hope again. And when you feel like folding your arms, who will teach you how to embrace the world again? I'll trade with you what you're holding inside. Just give me your hand, I'll stick with you for the ride. I'll stay with you, we'll grow together and rise. With each other we'll thrive, I'll rock with you over time. When you take your first step, I'll be there from the next. A new direction, an everlasting change. Like a true friend I'll be, connected and invested in you. I'll stay with you, what you're holding inside. Just give me your hand, I'll stay with you for the ride. I'll stay with you, we'll grow together and rise. With each other we'll thrive. I'll rock with you over I feel your passion and I understand. That's why I was here offering a solution. A stage on which you can tell your story and dreams come to life. Just give me your hand, I'll stick with you for the ride. I'll stay with you, we'll grow together and rise. With each other we'll thrive. I'll rock with you over time. Just give me your hand, I'll stick with you for the ride. I'll stay with you, we'll grow together and rise. With each other we'll thrive. I'll rock with you over
Let me just get the microphone. Lily. All right. Oh, okay. I thought it's the microphone. We don't all sound like that. All right. Lily is super, super, super talented. Thank you for that blessing. Thank you very much. We're about to get into a round of conversations, but before that, let me introduce you to a certain individual. Mamdou, please kindly just stand right here. I would like to show the room what's happening. So the gentleman here is our timekeeper today, right? I did not misrepresent. Okay. So when the time is running out, what will Mamdou do? Okay. For everyone, and when the time is actually up, there we go. So the aim of our conversation with Mamdou is that we need to keep the energy as great until the very end, and we need to keep it very punchy. We've been in interviews and rooms with some of you, and we know you can speak for way longer. See, I didn't look at anyone, but you know yourselves. So let's get into our first moderated session of the day. As today goes on, we'll hear about 5 impact areas within which trade has operated around the world. There are 3 organizations that have played a crucial role in where we are today, from the policy level all the way to the businesses on ground. So, without further ado, let's please welcome to the stage Deputy Director General at the WTO, Shangcheng Zhang. Please join us on stage. UN Trade and Development Secretary General, Rebecca, please join us on stage as well. And of course, ITC Executive Director Pamela Cook-Hamilton, please join us on stage. I don't know whether everyone has a microphone. Hi. Shangcheng, we'll start off with you. The predecessors to the WTO, the General Agreement on Tariff and Trade, GATT, was established way before 1947. So you've seen the evolution of trade, evolution of policy. What we're discussing now is not what was being discussed decades ago. Now we've come to a point where the smaller business is as crucial as the political leader or the policy maker, right? But just guide us through what it means now having ITC as almost the last mile and the person that actually brings back conversation on ground to you, having them by your side in this trade conversation.
Okay, thank you for your question. The relationship between ITC and WTO is more closer than partners. We are sisters organizations. Pamela, Rebecca, and my boss, Dr. Ngozi, are 3 sisters of one family of trade. Of course, among the 3 sisters, there's a division of labor. Rebecca, the UNCTAD, is the think tank for developing countries, and WTO is for trade negotiations. And ITC and the leadership of Pamela is to help the developing countries and the small business to enter into the international market through various down-to-earth programs. So DG Dr. Ngozi said in another room this afternoon, Pamela is a star of the supply side of trade. It's true. But sometimes I feel jealous of her because WTO's negotiations are always tough and painful. However, I don't want to underestimate the work of UNCTAD and WTO. Taking the digital trade as an example, ITC has done a lot of work to train thousands of people in developing countries to do business digitally. At the same time, we recognize that regulatory framework matters. In this regard, UNCTAD and the leadership of Rebecca has done a lot of work to help the developing country to develop their national strategy for e-commerce. And WTO is also doing its work together with World Bank to do some country gap analysis with a view to improve the regulatory framework. So by joining hands, we can do better, we can do more to help the developing country to great into the international trading system. Thank you.
Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. So that gives us great context. Rebecca, let's come to you. It's like having when athletes do a relay, right? You can't have a slow athlete. They'll ruin the whole sport. They'll ruin it. So every 4 of the people who are doing the relay have to be as quick or as effective, as efficient to come out as winners. So in this very sense, UNCTAD and ITC are in a relay. You have almost the same strategy, some different, some similar, but you have a common goal. Explain to us how you operate, having the same but different, but a common goal.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. First of all, happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
And happy birthday to you too, by the way. Yeah. Yes, to you too.
I feel younger.
Yeah.
Because I am older than UNCTAD and ITC, you know. So I will follow on what the deputy of WTO said, because first of all, this is not about a common history, it's about a common vision. And I think that is what we have, you know, with ITC and now with the WTO. And secondly, it's about the commitment to an inclusive economic system, an inclusive growth. And we could not do that or think about it without the small and medium-sized enterprises. And that's ITC's, you know, central reason of an objective. So for us, you know, that we are committed to inclusive growth, to inclusive trade, to an inclusive economic system, the work of ITC is central and valued in all its meaning for us. That's first. And I think that the third thing that we all have in common is our commitment to multilateralism. Yes, and that continues to be, probably today more than ever, you know, a struggle, because multilateralism has weakened in these last years, and I think that the voice of these organizations committed to multilateralism is a very important one, and our unity on doing that in favor of multilateralism and the drive that we feel for it, really, I think that is commendable.
Fantastic. Pamela, nice to see you again. So, I hate to be in your shoes during some instances because the pressure is extremely high. The expectation as well, even from people in the room, is extremely high. We've heard from the different EDs speaking. You have, you know, a few years, a few conversations, a few you name it. But what would you like, given the kind of support that you receive, for people to say, Pamela managed with the help of the team and the kind of conversations she had, ITC was able to do dash? What would that be?
Thank you. I've thought a lot about this question because I think it's an important one when it comes to legacy. And I think legacy is important because, in a way, you have to define what you want to leave before you actually get there. For me, the fundamentals of what we do at ITC, and it's why I get up every morning and I'm passionate about what we do, is that we change lives. And we change lives in very real ways. We work with women who are able to work, to earn a living, having been in Dadaab, you know, refugee camp for 30 years. We're able to convince people that they have the right to earn this living, irrespective of where they're placed. We work with young entrepreneurs in the digital space, helping them to work in blockchain to do the traceability for coffee in Uganda. We work with people in Central Asia, on the Central Asia Trade Gateway, to provide trade facilitation. In other words, what we do is we translate trade. I'd call us, you know, God the Father, God the Son, and I'm the Holy Ghost, right? So we kind of do the actual translation from the negotiations to the policy imperatives, because what UNCTAD does is central to what we do. We utilize so much of UNCTAD's studies, their policy imperatives, their work, for example, on the e-commerce strategies, and we translate those to small business. Because one of the biggest missing links in most of what happens is that there's no translation to the small business in order for them to take advantage of these agreements that we've signed. And so for me, the legacy that I want to leave is that every small business has access to our tools, to a better living, and that their children have better lives than they had. Thank you.
That's brilliant. So we'll get into the session on the different impact areas, and we'll hear that translated, right? But let me just do one last round. There are a lot of things that happen on the negotiation table that a lot of people, even the world, is not privy to. What would you want people to understand pretty quickly, maybe a minute or two, about the kind of conversations that happen behind the scenes that we don't know, that you need people to really understand? When we are discussing, just give us a minute. We want to finish, and then we'll get the best for you. Just what's one of those things that we don't know about what happens behind the scenes?
Okay, thank you for your question. Taking the digital trade as an example again, you know, every country, every business, people want to embrace digital trade. But, you know, when I talk about the regulatory framework, it's a different thing for many people. If we want to have a solid ecosystem for the business of digital trade, we need the regulations on e-signature, e-authentication, e-contract, the consumer's protection, the customer procedure, so on and so forth. So those procedures, those regulations are complicated. In order, the international organization like UNCTAD WTO can foster a platform for those member countries to discuss how to reach consensus on that, and with the view to improve the regulatory framework at home of the developing countries.
Okay, that's one. Rebecca, what's that happens behind the scenes? Tell us one or two things, because we'll finish off with you, family. Don't laugh. Oh, no, she wants us to put you on the hot seat. No. Let me ask you maybe one, because we'll put Pamela on the hot spot in just a while. What keeps you up at night? I think it's one of the questions that Pamela really likes. What keeps you up at night knowing everything that's happening around you?
My granddaughter. To talk to her, I have to stay up at night. What keeps me up at night? Well, probably sometimes the realization that people are not listening, yeah? And that because of that, many people in the world is suffering. So how to think about strategies for being more effective in trying to reach out, because many times the truth is that we get encapsulated into ourselves, into our institutions, into what we think. We are so convinced. But to convince others to be able to have a conversation, a dialogue, something that will go back and forth, you have to ask yourself if you are doing enough to do it. If you are using all you can, or if you just close yourself, the same as others that you criticize many times. If you close yourself to that possibility, maybe you are not listening enough. Sometimes that keeps me up at night.
So I like that bit about sometimes you never know whether people are listening, and negotiation, we've heard about that, Pamela. Given the kind of support and certain realizations that we now have, does it get easier or does it get harder for you? For everything that you're doing, as you feel like something has been accomplished, there's something else that comes. As you feel like something is a bit difficult, it gets easier because you know a different partner you can speak to. So does it get easier, does it get harder for you?
Both. It gets easier in some circumstances because finally you'll get that breakthrough that says, you know what, everybody now gets the fact that trade rules are not gender neutral. 10 years ago, it wasn't even on the table. Nobody even, who cares? Of course, every trade affects everybody the same way. It's now established, there's empirical data, it's now accepted across the board that gender is affected differently, women are affected differently, and therefore we now have tailored approaches to how to deal with it. However, on the other side, one thing that keeps me up at night, and I keep talking about it, I don't know that I can do anything to change it, but I'll just keep saying it until, is that the system of trade that we continue to operate under for the last 400 years is the same. The extraction, primary commodity exports, no value added, and there's a new scramble taking place in the critical mineral sector, just like the scramble that took place before for all the other things. And here we are in 2024 doing the same thing. And I really, really, really hope and pray, and I'm trying to speak about it, that we do it differently this time. Yeah?
Perfect. Please, let's give a warm round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'd like to jump into the specifics, right, of what has been discussed here on a broad level. We'll jump into very specific cases. As our panelists get off the stage, let's just watch this video. We'll come back with our first impact area. Thank you very much. We appreciate it very much. Thank you, Pamela.
World of trade, we pave the way for women and men to seize the day. Young people thriving, talents unfold, inclusive trade, a global world. Refugee communities finding their place through commerce and enterprise they embrace. Persons with disabilities breaking free. Trade empowers for all to see. Technology, a bridge, breaking down walls, connecting us all, answering calls. Innovation and access, hand in hand, opportunities are here across the land. Female entrepreneurs shining bright, guiding the way with fierce delight. In every sector, they take the lead, empowering change, fulfilling the need. Micro, small, medium enterprises strong, driving economies where they belong. Agriculture, tech, tourism too, creative industries with a fresh view. Trade, not just in goods, but in ideas. Inclusive trade, erasing old fears. Empowering the marginalized, lifting them high, together we flourish. Reaching for the sky. So let's stand united, hand in hand. Inclusive trade, our global brand. From village markets to city streets, let's create a world where harmony meets.
Thank you very much. I hope you understood that that scripting was also a poem. It was very poetic, yes. Fun fact, the video was produced by one of our local partners, a film production company in Uganda that we worked with under our Creative Industries project, supporting young creatives in the film industry.
Fantastic. So we're talking about inclusive trade, and not as on paper, but things that are actually happening on ground, and we have something to show for that, don't we? Mm-hmm. Yes, we do. For entrepreneurs of all backgrounds, women, young people, indigenous people, people with disabilities, refugees, connecting to value chains with the most potential to drive economic social change not only benefits them, but their families and communities. That's the heart of ITC's mission, and we'll be discussing across these 5: inclusive trade, sustainable value chains, regional integration, digital trade, and green trade. But before that, Susanna, we have a video?
Yes, we have a video about 3 entrepreneurs from Kenya, Burkina Faso, and Iraq, and I think that's supposed to be playing on screen now.
Hello, my name is Eliud Luther. I am the team lead at Innobid Procurement. We work to automate public procurement to make it possible for women-owned enterprises as well as youth-owned enterprises to access government contracts. ITC has been a huge supporter of our work. They have provided a platform where we've been able to connect to global mentors and fellow peers that have helped us refine our product. I look forward to a future where everyone, in spite of their age, gender, geographical location, or social class, can be able to access opportunities that are presented by global commerce. Thank you, ITC, and happy birthday.
Amula sawadu zenisa, ambe azerpie mbudu sundo, amura sundo, na yabe azerpie le songo minga. Tese mor eti san watando, ne bamare, nistumtero, la forinasa sanket ne lebro wengi. Takurutando, ne kliende ni simbika, ni simbe tentase, never you, pisho tegre, wena yilimatare.
أنا محمد رائدة أعمال حابة أشكر الاي تي سي لتقديمها الدعم لي في تطوير مشروعي اللي هو إعادة تدوير الحشائش الضارة وإنتاج أوراق وأقيمة قابلة للزراعة وصديقة للبيئة. هذا الشيء راح يفيد مستقبلا في التطور البيئي المناخي. وحابة أهنئ الاي تي سي على تقديم 60 عام من النجاحات والروائع. متوقع إن شاء الله القادم أجمل في تقديم الدعم لمختلف الشباب في القطاعات الرقمية والتجارة الشمولية.
So as we saw, the impact goes beyond those of us in the room, even though there are quite a few many of us in the room. And so we asked a few people from across the world what inclusive trade means to them. So please take a look.
The possibility of exchange value among different countries, adding value to our communities and industries, always being respectful with our planet.
Empowerment through accessible communication.
Sustainable supply chains.
Accessible opportunity for all.
Equal access for marginalized groups.
Inclusive trade.
Right. Right. So now that we've had some insight into ITC's current work, let's rewind to ITC's beginnings. We'd like to start right from the beginning, how we came to be directly from those who called for our creation.
Very intriguing. For that, we welcome to the stage His Excellency Guilherme de Aguilar Patriota, Permanent Representative of Brazil to the WTO. Thank you. Her Excellency Maria Pagan, Deputy United States Trade Representative. And of course, our very own Executive Director, Ms. Pamela Koch-Hamilton. Please welcome to the stage. Thank you.
Yes. This is supposed to be my Oprah moment, I'm just saying. In case I don't last in this job, you know, I'm trying out new things. But thank you so much, Ambassador Patriota, Ambassador Pagan. Thank you so much for joining us. The reason why we kind of hauled you up here today is because we were doing some research on the beginnings of ITC. You know, who came up with this idea? And frankly, who came up with such an audacious idea in 1964? And in our research, we found that Brazil, in 1962, proposed the formation of this GATT International Trade Center. And I wanted to ask you, before I go to Ambassador Pagan, you said you were born here. Was your father here at that time when they made that proposal? Because that would be a great story. No, but don't answer it yet. No, I mean, that would be awesome. And Ambassador Pagan, the United States joined with huge support in 1964, and we were born. So let me start with Ambassador Patriota. Can you tell us why it was important for Brazil to propose this center, particularly at a time when there was no internet? I think people, young people, I just want to tell you, we didn't have internet. I tried to tell my son this. His concept of information gathering is completely skewed. We had, remember those big discs? And that was in my time. So in 1964, there were just these big compendiums that people had to lug around the place. So this was not an easy thing to do. But you had the vision. So I'd like to hear from you.
Well, thank you very much, Pamela. It's an honor to be here with you and with Ambassador Pagan to speak a little bit about the history. I also did a little bit of research before I came up to the podium. I think first, as I mentioned in my JAG intervention, the ITC wasn't created in isolation. It was created within the context of building a system of trade rules based on the former GATT, from the Havana Conference, and all of the structures that were established post-Bretton Woods, so on and so forth. I think the region, Latin America, has an interesting contribution to make conceptually through those big names that were associated with ICLAC, the Economic Commission for Latin America, such as Prebisch and from Argentina, and Celso Furtado from Brazil, and many others who developed the theory of development. And in that decade, in the 50s and 60s, the theory was people were increasingly trading, and there was a perception that something was keeping the South behind. And the study demonstrated that part of the problem was the so-called deteriorating terms of trade. Developing countries traded in commodities and goods that had little value added, and they were locked up in that situation, whereas developed countries increasingly traded more value-added goods, more sophisticated goods. They had more technologies, they had better means of production, better financing, everything. So something had to be done to help the South to be better integrated into this system that was evolving quite quickly, the GATT system. In this context, I think the idea of establishing some kind of a center within GATT to assist developing countries in their integration into this new rules-based system that required some quite serious commitments on behalf of developing countries in terms of tariff reductions, liberalization, openness to trade, so on and so forth. I think the idea was almost natural that some sort of a mechanism should be established to support countries from the South. So it's a little bit the logic behind the International Trade Center. In those days, there was a lot of information sharing. There was the idea of also supporting developing countries having access to information on trade or trade intelligence, even the negotiated tariffs and the preference regimes that were in place. That was the place where developing countries would go to service themselves with information, reliable information, even for negotiating purposes, because they also needed some extra assistance to be able to negotiate at the same level that other members could. So it's a critical activity that the Trade Center performed in 1962. I'm very honored, actually, to have Brazil associated with this. We proposed the establishment of the International Trade Information Center. That's how it was called then, ITIC. And that was a part of GATT that evolved. It was created in '64. But there's an interesting, another piece of information, actually, that I got thanks to this opportunity here. It's that in 1967, in December of 1967, the General Assembly approves an agreement between United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, to me, still UNCTAD, I'm not going to get into this, but UNCTAD and the WTO now, then GATT, to establish this trade center. There isn't really a clear-cut decision creating it. It's a process, so that's one of the challenges I had in my research, because I thought, oh, there's a resolution that creates the ITC. It's not like that. It's kind of like a process. You find bits and pieces here and there. There's this decision in December of '67. And then going through the meetings, and actually thanks to the diligent work here of your chef de cabinet, who provided me with this piece of information. Well, I discovered there this Mr. Patriota was there in the General Assembly when this decision was taken. And he recalled that his delegation had welcomed a proposal to set up the center, although generally speaking, it had opposed certain other similar projects which might have duplicated the work done by the existing regional centers. So there were existing regional centers. There was a concern about duplication. That's not out of the usual, I think. We're still like this. His delegation would be fully prepared to become a sponsor of the draft resolution, but would like the present sponsors to replace the words agree on the detailed administrative arrangements in operative paragraph 2 by the words take the necessary steps with respect to the detailed administrative arrangements. So I guess a little bit of reluctance to agree on something he probably hadn't seen yet. So that's also not atypical reaction from a good delegate. Yeah, and then to my surprise, evidently this was in '67, so it couldn't have been me. I would have been 8 years old. It was my father, Antonio Patriota, who was the delegate in the second committee, overseeing a Brazilian proposal and seeing it through to be adopted in '67 as a kind of an independent, structured entity. It's very touching to me to be able to refer to him and to associate him with the origins of ITC today during the 60th birthday. He passed away at 100, so he had a long life, very productive, about 6 years ago. And I think he would have been really happy to see the state of affairs today, though there are still some challenges. And I think the terms of trade still require ITC support to better integrate developing countries into trade flows, especially now that we're undergoing yet another transformation thanks to digital economy, to AI, to the whole green transition, the energy transition, and the whole new challenges ahead of us. But the developing countries, the South, they still require your support. So I think it's a nice story, and I'm very happy to have been a part of it. Thank you.
Talk about serendipity. I mean, you can't get better than this, huh? Your dad. That's right. And here you are. This is amazing, 60 years later.
I'll be asking about the agreements too.
Maybe your son might come for the 100th, maybe. Yes. Now over to you, Ambassador Pagan. Thank you so much. The United States joined and was a powerful supporter in taking us over the line. And so in 1964, the United States joined. We have up on the screen, you'll see the letter. That I was trying to read. So tell us why it was important for the United States to be part of this, and how did the United States see the vision and basically run with it?
Well, thank you. Thank you, and I'm really delighted to be here, and happy birthday to the ITC. You're a really hard act to follow, Guilherme, but I am delighted to hear that story, because I was very happy when I was invited to do this, to learn about the relationship and the fact that it was a Brazilian idea that the United States had supported. We do continue to work together here in the WTO to this day, and I'm just very pleased of that, and just wonderful story about your father being the one who put this forward. That's amazing. In reading some of the documents to prepare for this today, we were struck by the fact that the themes that the U.S. mission was thinking about back then, 60 years ago, are the same that are relevant to the United States today. So I don't think it's a surprise that we were supportive. For starters, our push was to provide more information, more transparency, something that people who know me from here from the WTO know that is a key core issue for the United States. So more information and transparency for developing countries, including LDCs, to better integrate them into the global market. And of course, that is a task that we continue to do today, not just through the work in the ITC. We have somebody here from our US AID agency, so I have to give a shout out to that. So again, the same issues that were relevant 60 years ago remain relevant today. Earlier speakers have spoken about, the challenges may have changed a little bit. Some are the same, but of course there are new challenges, and so we do think that, the work should never be done because it should always be there to continue, helping those who need help to adapt. Don't need to go into explaining what we all need to adapt to these days. There was a focus on capacity constraints of the least developed countries and on building that capacity through technical assistance. And again, it was very nice to see that 60 years ago we were thinking about that. And 60 years on, we are thinking about that as well. So that, again, that mission remains relevant, and therefore one of the ITC's core mission remains very relevant to this day. I am aware that ITC delivers 75% of its assistance to the priority countries, that being LDCs, landlocked, small island developing states, countries at risk of armed conflict, and sub-Saharan Africa. And again, that's a powerful message. I have gone to your website a couple of times in the past couple of weeks, and it's just really inspiring to see the projects from all over the world. You've mentioned trade is human history, and you can really see that, and that will always be the case. And so, whether it's women from Pakistan exporting mangoes, lots of cocoa projects, which makes me wonder whether there's a Switzerland connection, but I'll leave it at that. Chocoholics out there, be happy. Again, I'm just picking, we've seen some of these today here. Jamaican NGO engaging with communities dependent on marine resources to protect fish stocks, to restore the habitats, and therefore regenerate the local communities. That is something, of course, that is relevant to a lot of the work that we're doing in negotiations that we're doing right here at the WTO right now. And of course, particularly fond of all the work helping to empower women from all over the world, which is very important. So again, so many wonderful programs. I think that is what led us, those needs, providing the data, being transparent, helping. And again, back then, as you're saying, we didn't have the internet or walk around with computers in our pockets where you could get all this information. So yes, we can't lose sight of that it was a lot more difficult to do those things before. And so I think that remains relevant to this day, even with the fact that we're walking around with computers in our pockets. So I just want to say we're super proud of being a donor to the ITC and a supporter of the ITC. And I think that if you keep the focus on the human side, on inclusivity, on empowerment of women and marginalized communities in particular, I'm going to plagiarize here a little bit. We may just stick with you for the ride.
Well, thank you so much. I'm looking at our friend there who's about to go, So let me wrap up quickly. Master Patriota, thank you so much. As I said, this has just given me goosebumps, Can you imagine? Who would have thought?
Imagine me.
Yeah. 60 years later, you're sitting here talking about your dad. But it's just such an empowering story that when somebody has a vision and they pursue it, and then countries come together and agree that this is important for developing countries, this is what we need. And I think we ought to put it in context for a lot of people, that in 1964, it was basically about 50 to 60 countries became independent, including my own. between 1957, starting with Ghana, and the huge decolonization process across Africa and the Caribbean. And we were grandfathered into the GATT and had no clue. No, I mean, I'm just being frank. We were not prepared for the requirements of coming in at the time. And this was a very critical element of the kind of technical assistance that was needed to enable these countries to do the negotiations, to know the tariff lines, to do the market intelligence. I have one director who believes that the market intelligence is really what ITC is about. It's a core. And the truth is, it is the core. It is the base of what we do, though we've now branched out into several areas as trade has changed over 60 years. But at essence, this is what we do. And we're very grateful to Brazil and to United States for giving birth to us. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This afternoon has been full of surprises, from a father-son full circle moment. And we heard this very nice comment from Ambassador Pagan about how the US may just stay along for the ride. So we have marked that, Ambassador. Thank you very much. This is exciting. We're going to move into our next session, but first, before that, we're going to check in with our friend Mamdou. How are we doing for time? We are so late. That is a direct quote. Okay, so we will get a move on here. Okay. Our next segment is going to be a story that you don't hear every day. Entrepreneur Boubker El Idrissi is here from the heart of Morocco, Casablanca, and he's here to share with us a story about how he ventured into the niche market of, another direct quote, menstrual lingerie, to support women and girls in a way that works also for the environment by also making business sense. A really interesting combination, so we hand over the mic to you. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. I'm excited to share the incredible journey of Interlinge, a textile company founded back in 1999 in Casablanca, Morocco. For the past 25 years, we've become experts in crafting fine lingerie and swimwear and various technical pieces and accessories. Today, Interlinge employs 250 dedicated professionals. 65% of our business involves cut, make, and trims, what we call CMT, for our clients in now 7 countries: France, Spain, UK, Slovenia, Morocco, Denmark, and Germany. The 35 remaining % goes to finished products. In 2019, we partnered with GTEx to diversify our market and focus on sustainability. After 5 years, we've nearly doubled our revenue and created many new jobs. But what truly sets us apart is our commitment to sustainability. We have improved our environmental impact and also made significant contribution to our community. What have we done more concretely. Interlingue has a zero waste policy. We have invested heavily in solar energy. We also engage in community outreach while exploring innovative environment practices. With GTEX's support, we have found ways to use our resources better and have improved waste management. We saw immense potential in repurposing fabric scraps, and more importantly, we took actions. Our journey is about more than just business. It's about making a positive impact on the environment and our community. Thank you for being part of this exciting story with us. And that now is how Huria was born. Huria is an initiative born out of a desire to tackle health and environmental issues head-on. Menstrual hygiene is a crucial topic that demands our attention. After all, like everywhere, half of Morocco's population is female. My brand, Huria, means freedom in Arabic. For over 3 years, we have invested in research and innovation to develop reusable menstrual products. We have a broad range of products for the general market in Europe and in Morocco. We also have a dedicated kit for menstrual insecurity that we developed with the NGO Project SOAR that is like nothing on the market. Project SOAR is dedicated to empowering teen girls to become the leaders of today and tomorrow, and to be powerful voices for inclusion and democracy. Together, we are on a mission to break the taboo of menstrual insecurity in Morocco and across Africa. We believe that access to menstrual protection should be a basic right, not a privilege. Our goal is to ensure that intimate hygiene is no longer an obstacle to women's and girls' empowerment. For young girls in rural areas, we provide sustainable menstrual kits that support 3 to 5 years of hygiene management. This reduces the risk of them dropping out of school due to the menstrual insecurity, and helps also, what is important, helps avoid child marriage. Huria is about more than business and markets. It's about creating a world where every woman, every girl can be free to live without fear or shame. Shukran, ITC, and Eid Milad Saeed, with happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Bubker. To anyone who was a bit confused, just in case, so GTEX is one of the projects that is supported by ITC within the textile value chains, just in case that any of you might have missed it. Please put back the slide that we had on there, please. Right. So for this, we had touched on at the beginning. So the 5 of these are the 5 major areas of work within which ITC delivers impact. We've heard about inclusive trade. We've just talked about sustainable value chains. Let's now get into regional integration. This is being managed from different parts of the world. We'll hear about one of the most significant treaties. I can see Ambassador Muchanga ready to come up next. But before that, there are 2 things. The ITC has supported integration in different ways. One that stands out is in Central Asia. There's a platform, the Central Asia Gateway, award-winning, I should mention award-winning, that has brought 5 countries' trade facilitation portals into one. So to track their trade flows and customs formalities in Central Asia. And the reason why I say award-winning, you can hold your applause for just a second, is because the platform recently won Best Trade Information Portal at the World Investment Forum. Please. So yes, integration done well. We're happy to hear from Ambassador Muchanga straight from an engagement in Tunis, was it? So from Tunis to Geneva. Glad to have you here. But first, please direct your attention to the screen. Her Excellency Jutta Urpilainen, Commissioner for International Partnerships at the European Union, before we hear from Ambassador Muchanga.
Ladies and gentlemen, today the International Trade Center marks its 60th anniversary. During those 60 years, multilateral cooperation and the resulting expansion in global trade have lifted over 1 billion people out of poverty. The ITC has provided valuable advice to governments and small businesses in partner countries. It has enabled partners to integrate into the global economy. The EU has played its part too. The EU and our member states, together as Team Europe, provide over 40% of global aid for trade. Through our Global Gateway investment strategy, we are mobilizing up to 300 billion euros in sustainable investments by 2027. Our key objective is to create local value, strengthen local markets, boost regional integration, and create opportunities for mutually beneficial trade. Your theme, Changing Trade, Changing Lives, describes perfectly the cooperation between the ITC and the EU. Let's build on this legacy together. Now I'm happy to give the floor to Ambassador Muchanga. I am sure he will talk about the African Continental Free Trade Area, game-changing initiative which the EU is proud to support.
Thank you very much, Director of Ceremony. I think I'll begin by saying that I joined the rest of the audience to wish you happy birthday and the many happy returns, as well as the continued resilience. You are a resilient organization, and that is becoming your brand. Congratulations. We are collaborating with the International Trade Center under the One Trade Africa initiative. And one of the key deliveries there is the development of regional and continental value chains across Africa. The initial survey was about 5,300 products. We narrowed them to about 432. And out of those, we identified 4 priority sectors: baby food, textile and apparel, motor vehicles, and pharmaceuticals. And in making this identification, a number of issues have also come up, one of which is to promote policy and regulatory harmonization so that producers of those products can easily export them under the African Continental Free Trade Area. And that is deepening regional integration, which is very, very, very good. And of course, as we move towards the development of regional and continental integration through productive transformation, we need to ensure that there is quality and there is originality. So we have come up with the Made in Africa Guide. All the companies that qualify to use that guide, we have the label Made in Africa. There's a criteria that has been established. And this guide is going to be rolled out during Africa Industrialization Week, going towards the 20th November. As we heard earlier, the International Trade Center was initially conceived as a trade information mechanism. And again, we have collaborated with the International Trade Center in coming up with the Africa Trade Observatory, which is connecting businesses together as they scout for export and import opportunities, and also connecting governments and businesses through the provision of trade information, such as trade statistics. And at the continental level, working together with the African Export-Import Bank, we have come up with the Intra-African Trade Fair starting in 2018. And the next edition is going to be in Algeria in 2025. And in these years, from 2018 to date, at each trade fair, the business transactions have been around $32 billion. And in the recent one, which was in Cairo again, it was about $42 billion. So it's growing investments across the region, which is very, 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 very good. And of course, we are also looking at the possibility of connecting regions. Working together with the African Export-Import Bank and the International Trade Center, we are surveying regional value chains between Africa and the Caribbean region. The initial set has been identified, and there's going to be updated. And the long-term vision is to see if we can have an Africa-Caribbean free trade area. So, our colleagues, our partners, the International Trade Center, are very deeply involved in the process of productive transformation. And one of the activities which is still at the drawing stage is to promote productivity of entrepreneurs. And this is being done in collaboration with the EU, UNIDO, the International Trade Center, and ourselves. So this is in a nutshell where we are. I've not been told to cut my throat, but I'll end here. Once more, congratulations.
So let it just be known now, there's 4 minutes remaining on the clock. So Ambassador Muchanga, it is possible. Mahmoud, we're going with you to Africa. I'll tell you for sure, in most of the rooms that Ambassador Muchanga is in, having 4 minutes left is a miracle. It's an absolute miracle. All right, So we've reclaimed some time. We really appreciate Ambassador's sentiments. We're about to get into a bit of a highlight for our next entrepreneur. But before that, we have Yusuf Daya, Director for AU and AFCFTA Relations at Afreximbank, to introduce a brilliant initiative, the How to Export program, before throwing it to our spotlight for entrepreneur today. Yusuf?
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Your Excellencies. All protocol observed. And in the interest of time, I'll try to keep this as short as possible. But first, let me say on behalf of Professor Benedict Orama and the entire Afreximbank family, a very happy birthday to the ITC and the ITC family. Our relationship has certainly grown, particularly in recent years, and quite interestingly, we did a review of all our partnership agreements at the bank, and one of the first partnerships agreements we entered into in the 1990s was with the ITC. So I'm glad that we've renewed this and taken forward the activities and the collaboration. In fact, the collaboration has extended to a number of areas. We'll touch or get more details on the how to export specifically, but just to highlight that we've expanded this collaboration to the creative sector through a Pan-African alliance, an annual survey of the African CEO to see what the market sentiment is in the continent, an AFCFTA strategy for South Sudan, and as Ambassador Muchanga mentioned, the intra-African trade fairs. But today, again, I'd like to very briefly and very specifically focus on the how to export with the AFCFTA training program, which demonstrates the impact of our partnership. The program has now trained over 10,000 MSMEs from over 50 African countries on how to trade under the AFCFTA rules. I believe the online and the offline component has received a satisfaction rating of over 90% from participants, demonstrating the huge impact this has had on MSMEs in the continent. But I can obviously stand up here and sing my own praises and say we've done these wonderful things. But don't take my word for it, and allow me to introduce one of the beneficiaries of the program, Linda Chepkoni, the CEO and founder of Rift Valley Organics Africa from Kenya. Linda attended the regional How to Export with the AFCFTA training workshop in Uganda, as well as the Women and Youth Masterclass at the AFCFTA Business Forum in Cape Town, and benefited from the focus on business, linkages, as well as pitching support. Linda is now successfully trading under the AFCFTA rules and under the guided trade initiatives. Linda, please join us on stage.
Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, I'd like to give my regards to ITC. Thank you very much. It is on the shoulders of such great organizations that MSMEs like me from Kenya are able to stand on a global platform like this. Asante sana and happy birthday. Asante sana means thank you very much from Kenya. So as Daya has introduced, I am Linda from Kenya, an entrepreneur who has traded under the FCFTA Guided Trade Initiative. And some of you will be wondering, why FCFTA and yet Kenya is a member of the different tracks? Well, FCFTA provides an opportunity for SMEs and MSMEs around Africa to trade under the largest trading bloc in the world, which provides an opportunity for 54 African countries to trade with each other, and for this, it means that it provides a single market for made in Africa products, which also provides an opportunity for MSMEs to boost intra-Africa trade through their different products. And on this, I'll give a highlight of how I started. As he has said, I'm one of the SMEs who have benefited from the different initiatives that ITC has for African entrepreneurs, and one of those opportunities is that I did the ITC online course, which is a partnership between ITC as well as Afri-Exim Bank. I did all the 8 modules of the course, and I was able to benefit from the information that I got from that course, of which it was more on how to trade under the AFCFTA. Secondly, I was a beneficiary of the different initiatives that ITC has for the women and youth, and for that I benefited from the One Trade Africa program, which gave me an opportunity to go to South Africa for the AFCFTA Business Forum, and also it gave me an opportunity to go to Uganda, where I was able to interact with different entrepreneurs from across Africa. And also for this, it was made possible because our government, the government of Kenya, has made access to information on AFCFTA much easier, because in Kenya we have the Kenya Revenue Authority, whereby it is the agency which is the custodian of all documentation as well as all the licenses, most of the licenses that are needed for one to export. And through that, I was able to access the information, get the certificate of origin certificate, which I used to export. I exported honey from Kenya to Ghana, and the entrepreneur whom I exported the honey to is one of the entrepreneurs that I met through the AFCFTA Business Forum, courtesy of the ITC-sponsored program to South Africa, and I'm truly grateful for that. ITC, asante sana. I was able to interact with the entrepreneur, whereby I got to export honey to Ghana, and on that I was able to enjoy the preferential treatment that AFCFTA gives to SMEs who are trading under the guided trade. As you know, Kenya is one of the countries that is a beneficiary of the AFCFTA guided trade. First, we were among the first 8 countries before it was expanded to the 30 countries platform. And through that, when Kenya was initially enjoying the privilege of being the first 8 countries under that, I was able to export under the guided trade, and I can say it has really benefited my business. First, the benefits of exporting under the guided trade initiative is that I've been able to source for raw materials from major, what are they called, small-scale farmers across Kenya. And it is on this, through the orders, that I've also been able to create employment opportunities for young Kenyans who are in the agricultural sector, so that they can be able to work for me. We work together, and through working together, they're also able to learn about the AFCFTA through the business. And also with this, we are able to improve food security, not only in Kenya, but also across Africa, because you can imagine if lots of young people as well as women are able to trade amongst each other, especially with the agricultural products, that means that countries that have surplus of different agricultural products are able to export to other countries whereby there's demand for those products, and with this, we're able to improve our continent. Secondly, we're also able to tap into the potential of our young people. Africa having the highest percentage of young people, we're able to tap into the potential of our people so that they can be able to create jobs for themselves, work for others, and also get to benefit from the different protocols that exist under the AFCFTA. And my last rallying call to the young people, because we are running out of time, and for us business people, time is money. I'd like to encourage young people. Abraham Lincoln once said, "Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe." Please let us be prepared for the AFCFTA. It is here for us. It's not for our governments to trade, but it is for us to improve ourselves. It is for us to create opportunities for ourselves. Under the AFCFTA, we say it's one of the flagship projects under the Agenda 2063, the Africa that we want. The Africa that we want will be birthed through us, the young people. And it is through taking advantage of the opportunities presented to us by the AFCFTA that we'll be able to benefit from it. If access to information is a challenge, please go online, Google the ITC, the online course, get to do it, learn about it, benefit from it. Next is to go to your local governments, ask for information on how to trade under AFCFTA, link with other young people, get to learn about the opportunities that exist in their countries. There are a lot of market opportunities that exist in different African countries that we don't have information about. network with them, learn from them, attend trade fairs and exhibitions. There's the AFCFTA Business Forum coming up. I hope ITC will be able to sponsor more young people from Africa so that they can be able to meet and learn. And I hope Kenyans will be among those who will be attending the forum so that this podium will be full of young Kenyans who will be giving their testimonies. The next birthday, people will be here to give their stories, learn from each other, and also inspire others. Lastly, I'd also like to request young people to hold each other's hands. ITC started by holding my hand, and it is through that that I've been able to hold the hands of other young people across Africa through sharing of information, sharing of opportunities. I believe as young people, we are there to learn from each other, not compete with each other, but also to complement each other. So asanteni sana, Mungu awabariki, and ITC, I'm grateful to be on this podium. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Linda. Nice to see someone from my hometown representing. So Linda mentioned something on time being money. We've seen some of our delegates from Sri Lanka as well. Sri Lanka has introduced digital certificates of origin with ITC's support. So 93% reduction of time, and of course, money is something brilliant, and also recently won a national award. So please, round of applause to Sri Lanka as well. I don't know where they're seated. All right. Now, within that same breath and all the conversations we've had, for regional integration to work, we need deliberate connectivity, which brings us to our fourth impact area, digital. The next person I'm about to call is a tech ecosystem builder and the founder of AB 2020. Her company promotes and connects Africa's business and investment commitment. Please allow me to welcome Akosua Anoble, please.
In case you're wondering, yes, I'm the tallest British Ghanaian you have ever seen. So I've got about 180 seconds to speak a bit about the transformative power of digital technologies. And as a convener of cutting-edge African tech entrepreneurs, I've had the privilege to see many revolutionary technologies changing traditional industries and also connecting markets globally. But to bring it back to basics, right, we are all very familiar with social media apps like Twitter and Instagram, and what else is there? Tell me one, Facebook, which is helping us to maintain connections, share experiences, and also connect with anybody, anywhere in the world, right? And then we've got video conferencing tools like Zoom and Microsoft Teams, which is allowing us to enabling face-to-face interactions as well, again, with anyone, anywhere in the world. Professional platforms like LinkedIn doing the same thing, absolutely revolutionizing the way that we network, we look for jobs, and also the way that we, I guess, generally pursue our career development. And then lastly, you've got the likes of Trello and what else is there? Slack, that help us to, I guess, work with our teams more efficiently and help us to collaborate, right? But my point today is that digital technologies are not just about convenience. They're also a catalyst for absolute profound change. And I just want to take a minute just to tell you guys a little bit about some of the innovations that do exist that you may not have heard of, but they are actually changing the world in which we live today. In traditional industries. So I'm starting off with education. There's a company called, and I've got some notes because I'm trying to keep to time, I don't want my head chopped off. eCampus, right? This is an edtech company who have changed the way that we educate each other online. So what they've been doing is offering education and skill development by combining tech, the cloud, their customers, and content. And it's amazing because what they've done is democratize learning and our access to knowledge, basically for anybody with access to the internet. Let's move on to health tech. We've got Yamachi Biotech, which is Africa's first cancer biotech research company. They were launched in 2021. Their aim is to create the world's most diverse cancer biodatabase and unlock novel drug and diagnostic targets. They're based in West Africa and East Africa and also the US. Absolutely amazing company. Moving on to the finance world, right? A fintech company by the name of Verify Buy. They've been facilitating seamless transactions. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about sort of the world of fintech and Momo and all of this. But they've been fostering financial inclusion and bridging the gap for SMEs, so between offline and online stores, and allowing SMEs to get access to their sales performance and customer behavior insights. Recently, I was speaking to the co-founder of a company called Farmerline, moving into agriculture. And I know Farmerline have done some work with ITC as well, but they're an amazing company who have been providing smallholder farmers with resources and information for the past decade. But more recently, what they told me is that they've developed a specialized large language model, automatic speech recognition, and text-to-speech model for farmers, particularly right now in Sierra Leone. They've just signed an MOU with the Sierra Leone government, their Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Technology, to provide more productivity and also improve livelihoods of smallholder farmers and their communities. And as we look into the future, I truly believe that AI is going to play a massive role in the way in which we do business. And we talk about like the AFCFTA and the way in which we need to do business sort of across regions. And to do that, we need to be able to communicate effectively. If I can't speak to you in a language you understand and vice versa, no matter how much we try to do business, it's going to be super difficult. And this is where tools like AI can come into play. And there is one company, a language tech company called Batasia, who are developing translation and language AI for African languages for now, but they're looking to do this across the world. And they're helping SMEs tailor their messages specifically for their target audiences. I could go on, but as we know, time is very limited. But my point is that these innovations are showcasing how technology can have will give us all a more connected, efficient, and inclusive world. Going back to the beginning of what I was talking about around social media, I was talking more about how that's helping us personally, but one other area that's growing online is social commerce, especially in places like Africa, where you're seeing the penetration of smartphones and internet connectivity really growing. And somebody who has leveraged that amazingly is Samia Ben Khalifa, who I'm going to invite to the stage now to share her amazing work with the support of ITC. So please welcome Samia to the stage, and thank you for having me.
Bonjour, je suis très heureuse et très honorée d'être ici parmi vous aujourd'hui. Je m'appelle Samia, je suis tunisienne, je suis architecte de formation et en 2017, j'ai créé une marque de maroquinerie et d'accessoires de mode, tout en dirigeant mon cabinet d'architecture qui avait déjà plus de 10 ans. Cette marque qui s'appelle AWA, qui est la contraction de Architect with Artisan, traduit le schéma opérationnel de mon entreprise. Celle-ci repose sur l'interaction entre mon savoir-faire d'architecte et celui des artisans avec lesquels je collabore. AWA a pris naissance en ligne et continue actuellement à être distribué à travers les réseaux sociaux et les plateformes de e-commerce, donc sur le digital essentiellement. La reconnaissance et le succès assez rapide de mes produits m'ont amené fin 2019, début 2020, à mettre un terme à mon activité d'architecte et me consacrer entièrement au développement de mon activité avec AWA. Le confinement de mars 2020 est venu valider ce choix. La mise en place préalable de moyens de logistique m'ont permis d'honorer les commandes en ligne que je commençais à recevoir. Enfin, le matériel photo ainsi que mon intérêt pour la communication digitale m'ont permis d'accroître et développer la notoriété de la marque en ligne. Toutes ces actions, ces compétences digitales m'ont permis d'être repérée et sélectionnée dans divers événements internationaux tels que la Fashion Week Paris à 3 fois consécutives, la Fashion Week Porto aussi, mais aussi des pop-up à New York et tout récemment un salon professionnel à Tokyo. Mais revenons un peu en arrière, en 2020 et 2021, lorsque j'ai été certifiée conseillère en e-commerce avec l'équipe ITC. J'amorçais à ce moment-là un nouveau cycle. Un cycle où j'apprenais et je transmettais à mon tour. Je découvrais un univers que j'aime qualifier de petit miracle, car oui, ITC fait des miracles. Ce miracle tient d'abord aux personnes que j'ai eu le plaisir de côtoyer lors du déploiement de programmes d'accompagnement d'entrepreneurs en e-commerce en Tunisie et dans la région MENA. Il tient aussi au fait que les programmes ne sont pas des programmes préétablis qui sont distribués ici et là, mais ce sont des programmes qui sont taillés sur mesure en fonction des besoins, des attentes et des problématiques que rencontrent les entreprises et les entrepreneurs de ces pays-là, de nos pays. Enfin, ce miracle tient du fait qu'en permettant à des entreprises et des entrepreneurs comme moi de passer de l'autre côté de la barrière et devenir coach ou consultant, il y a un lien fort qui se crée entre l'organisme et l'entreprise. L'entrepreneur reprend le flambeau de la transmission, de la connaissance digitale. Un échange entre l'apprenant et le consultant se crée. À son tour, cet échange crée une nouvelle dynamique qui impacte à son tour l'entreprise. En accompagnant des femmes entrepreneurs dans des programmes de développement et d'accompagnement digital aux femmes en Tunisie et dans la région MENA, je me suis replongée dans ma stratégie digitale afin de renforcer ma présence en ligne et assurer ainsi à ma marque de briller à l'échelle internationale. Donc oui, il s'agit bien d'un petit miracle et merci ITC d'y avoir contribué.
Merci beaucoup à Samia, and thank you very much to Akasua for sharing the stories of how digital is the game changer in trade. This is something that our big boss often says, and we've seen the evidence of that. Digital especially benefits the smallest, the most remote, and the least developed. And with that, we would like to very warmly welcome Her Excellency Ms. Rabab Fatima, Undersecretary General and High Representative for the least developed countries, landlocked developing countries, and small island developing states, to share how we work to make sure that trade works for everyone. OHRLLS is a key partner, and we're very welcome and happy to have you here to celebrate with us.
It works? No? No, okay. Thank you very much. It's really very hard to follow the very exciting presentations that I've just witnessed here in the last half an hour or so. Ms. Pamela Coke-Hamilton, Executive Director of the International Trade Center, Excellencies, distinguished friends and colleagues, it is such an honor and pleasure to be here today to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the International Trade Center. And Pamela, thanks for inviting me. This milestone celebration reflects the dedication of the many individuals who have shaped this remarkable institution over the span of the last 6 decades. My warmest congratulations to you, Pamela, for your visionary leadership in positioning ITC as a global leader in promoting inclusive and sustainable trade. And the glowing testimonies that we've heard today from the partners and beneficiaries alike, I believe, speaks of ITC's work and value. Congratulations again, ITC. Congratulations, Pamela. ITC has been an invaluable partner supporting the 92 most vulnerable countries that my office supports, the least developed countries, the landlocked developing countries, and the small island developing states, in building their capacity for trade-led growth. It's a partnership that we deeply value. ITC's support to micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises in these economies is both unique and irreplaceable. Excellencies, dear colleagues, as we mark this special occasion, we recognize the pivotal role of trade in enhancing resilience and fostering sustainable development, particularly for these countries in special situations. Yet, harnessing trade's full potential remains an uphill task for these countries due to pre-existing structural challenges and unique vulnerabilities. Take, for instance, the LDCs. Despite comprising 13% of the global population, their share of world trade is less than 1%. Their exports remain concentrated in a few primary commodities, leaving them vulnerable to price volatilities and external shocks. The LLDCs likewise also face significant trade barriers due to lack of direct access to the sea, complex transit procedures, and inadequate infrastructure. Their trade as well is heavily commodity dependent. The SIDS face challenges from isolated geographic locations, remoteness, and heavy reliance on imports, making them susceptible to global economic shocks. Trade, therefore, can play a transformative role in bolstering resilience and driving sustainable development in these countries. However, to fully harness the potentials of international trade, they need special and differential treatment. Enhanced trade capacity building through initiatives like Aid for Trade equips these countries with necessary infrastructure and capacities to integrate into regional and global value chains. Since 2006, Aid for Trade initiative has disbursed over $189 billion to LDCs, $114 billion to the LLDCs, and only $35 billion to SIDS, serving as a powerful catalyst for trade capacity building. But this support certainly needs to be significantly scaled up. Implementing the WTO Trade Facilitation Agreement with adequate financial and technical support can reduce trade barriers and streamline customs procedures. E-commerce and digital trade offer immense opportunities, and we have heard about some of those, especially for MSMEs and startups to connect with global markets. Supporting energy infrastructure, internet access, digital infrastructure, fintech, and transparent regulations in these countries is crucial to enable them to take full advantage of these opportunities and to ensure that they're not left behind. And we have heard many of those stories from the ground over the course of today. Moreover, LDCs, LLDCs, and the SIDS also need support to adopt green trade practices, which can effectively address both environmental sustainability and economic growth together. Excellencies, dear colleagues, as we celebrate ICT's remarkable journey, I wish to recognize our close partnership with ITC in supporting these most vulnerable countries. We have an ongoing project with ITC to support LDCs in strengthening their capacity on trade diversification. We are also working closely to support the implementation of the Doha Program of Action for the LDCs through South-South cooperation and multi-stakeholder partnerships. We also collaborated closely at the recently held SIDS conference in Antigua and Barbuda, and I would like to especially acknowledge its support as a co-organizer of the SIDS Global Business Network Forum. We'll be working together closely in advancing the new program of action for the SIDS, the Antigua and Barbuda agenda for the SIDS ABAS. And now, as we prepare for the upcoming Landlocked Developing Countries Conference to be held in December in Gaborone, Botswana, and we are very excited because it's the first time that the LLDC's conference will be going to Africa, and it only makes sense because half of the LLDCs, 16 out of the 32 LLDCs are in Africa. So we are all very excited, and I'll be counting very much on ITC to provide its usual support and collaboration in advancing that very, very important agenda, a new agenda for the LLDCs. Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, as we celebrate this milestone occasion, I wish to reiterate our commitment to deepening our partnership with ITC, a partnership, as I said, we deeply value. I firmly believe that together we can further enhance trade opportunities and resilient growth to bring about transformative development in the 92 most vulnerable countries, home to 1.3 billion people, and make sure that no one is left behind. Let me rest it there. And again, with warmest congratulations to ITC on your 60th, and all the best for the next 60. Thank you.
Thank you. Mamdou, timing? Okay. No, he says, So, thank you very much. So it's a fantastic transition from what we've seen in the video to the people that we have on the panel. Please allow us to give a warm welcome to Dr. Ngozi. Right on time for the final conversation, actually, right on time. So it's a fantastic transition from what we've seen in the video to now. Climate change is the defining issue of our time, and one of the many sectors reeling from it is cocoa, right? That's why we have you two brilliant entrepreneurs from Ghana. Boateng Solomon is the acting executive secretary for Kwapa Cocoa Farmers Cooperative. And we have Monica Nana Amas Senanu, founder of Chocolove Limited, who also make fantastic chocolate. So let's just have a quick conversation before we get into the rest. Would you like this? I hope this mic is on. No. Then, George, why don't you ask the first question?
Hello?
All right.
Yes, apologies. It's an elemental issue. Solomon, let's start with you. This is going to be the sweetest and shortest of conversations, but very meaningful. Your cooperative represents 100,000 cocoa producers in Ghana, which represents about 10% of all producers in the country. How are you helping producers deal with this existential crisis, climate change?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me try to explain this way. I remember vividly in 2010, we chanced on a climate impact report, which shown that in the next 10 years, if nothing is done, major part of the cocoa landscape in Ghana, especially the central part of Ghana, will be unsuitable for cocoa production. And so as a small cooperative, at that time, we decided that because our farmers are there producing cocoa, they are going to be affected. We should start implementing agroforestry systems. So we started creating awareness on the impact of climate change. We introduced planting of shade trees, timber trees to cocoa farmers at that time. So we targeted those areas that the report showed that there's going to be a serious impact. We thought we were doing the right thing. We thought we have found the solution. 5 years down the line, in 2015, the country was struck with an extreme drought. If you check the figures, you will see that there was a reduction in cocoa production in Ghana. So we were concerned. So while trying to find solution, maybe you permit me to say we met our Jesus Christ, in this case, ITC. because ITC, through the Alliance for Action methodology, introduced us to a concept called dynamic agroforestry, popularly known as DAF.
Can you explain what that is? What is dynamic agroforestry? Paint that picture for us.
Yes, I will try and explain. So, for DAF, a farmer does not need to cultivate new vegetation. It is just rejuvenating or rehabilitating your old cocoa farm that is not bearing fruit. And so it is a diverse, it will sound a bit technical, but I'll try and break it down. So it's a diverse and multi-layer farming system. It tries to integrate natural succession, and it is so good that it mimics natural forests. And in this case, those who are from cocoa producing countries, you know that natural forest is actually the natural habitat of cocoa trees. That is how cocoa should be grown. So the principle was that you have higher biodiversity, multi-strata. You have higher ecological systems there for cocoa to grow. You also have ecological recycling of organic matter.
And that means that
there is no even use of agrochemicals, no burn, no slash. So it is made up of a mixture of, trees, which cocoa is one, food trees is one, timber tree, all in the interest or the aiming at soil and biodiversity conservation, climate change mitigation, food security, and the last, income. Just this year, ITC was able to help us with a marketing consultant. We were able to sell export Canavalia to Cote d'Ivoire, which also earned the farmers some kind of income. So we indicated to ITC that, look, this is good. It's a pilot, it's a program, it's a project, so it will have an end life. How do we ensure that future generation will benefit from this? So with the support of ITC, we are setting up a center of excellence, which is it's like a training school. We went to Bolivia. There's a similar one in Bolivia. We want to replicate in Ghana. So what it means is that academia, research, farmers can come to the center and learn how the dynamic agroforestry system is. And it is good because just 2 months ago, if you follow the cocoa news, the chief executive of CocoaBot, and we are doing this in collaboration with CREC, the Cocoa Research Institute of Ghana. And so they visited the plot, and the pronouncement from the chief executive, he wished that dynamic agroforestry is introduced to every cocoa farmer in Ghana.
Did we hear that?
So,
this pilot plot of dynamic agroforestry will be replicated across the country.
Exactly.
In one of 2 biggest cocoa producing countries in the world.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Amazing. I think now we're going to pass over to Georgie.
Yeah, actually, Monica, let's speak. So you're now into cocoa farming, and of course you run a chocolate company. Since we're in Switzerland, where is the home of chocolate? Is it Switzerland or Ghana?
Thank you. That's very interesting. So, cocoa trees grow in the tropics. So it's certainly in Ghana, West Africa.
Okay.
That's where the trees are.
I didn't say it. She did. Right. All right. So for the purpose of the conversation, let's jump into manufacturing. Within this green space, and as people talk about sustainability, most huge organizations, when they get into manufacturing, they can take, sustainability, green. Most smaller businesses don't have the privilege or money to say their business has to be green. They're barely even getting enough money to kick off their businesses. So how does that adjustment look like to you or the kind of businesses you've interacted with?
Thank you. So at Chocolab, we took an intentional decision to be sustainable and manufacture in an environmentally friendly space. And this was all informed by the knowledge and the training that we got from ITC. So the first thing we did was to do an energy audit and to look at resource efficiency. So we noticed that we could use energy-saving lights, we could use highly energy-saving rated equipment. We used to have a heating panel, for example. When you put your liquor in, you put it on, it stays 12, 15 hours. And maybe we needed 6 hours of heating. With all the knowledge we acquired, we set up a timer. So these are small things you can do to make a huge difference. So we are small, but we know that little drops of water make a mighty ocean. So we do not discount the role we are playing in the space. When you take our packaging, we also took a decision to use sustainable packaging. And so we looked at what's out in the market is aluminum foil. It's not recyclable. What about paper packaging? So all this translates into little incremental improvements in our manufacturing process. And that's what we're doing in the space at the moment.
Right, we're getting word from Mahmoud about the time, right? One word, if you were to leave the customer or consumer with.
Okay. So everybody laughs about chocolate, and you need to support SMEs who are taking the intentional decision to produce in a sustainable way. You may have to pay a little premium, but then you are also contributing to the global picture. You are making our world a better place, and you are supporting SMEs like us. So my appeal to all of you in here and out there is be willing to pay a little premium for SMEs like us, be it chocolate, be it other products, because you care about the environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A quick second, Sol.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm ending with, sorry, maybe it may sound controversial, but permit me. So as I sit here, as you introduce me, I represent the voice of more than 100,000 cocoa farmers back in Ghana. So there's a growing concern. I mean, it's a perception that it's worrying us. There seem to be two continents in the world. The one on the left, which is the producing continent, and the producing continent is trying to find a living by destroying the environment. There is one on the right, which is the consuming continent, and they are saying, no, we will not allow you to destroy the environment. That is a concern to us because it makes our effort not being recognized. As I said, in 2010, we started agroforestry system. In 2016, ITC brought DAF. It's not about regulations that will change how we should do our farming. We know that when there's a climate change issue, it affects our business. So what we want from you is that first, you recognize our effort in our fight against climate change, and two, let's both parties support each other so that we can strike a balance between sustainability and production. That is a message I'm leaving to you here when I'm leaving to Ghana tomorrow, to ponder. We thank you very much, ITC, for giving us this opportunity to our voices to be heard. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Phenomenal. Thank you for the insights and very clear call to action. Thank you very much, Solomon and Monica. Now, as we leave, we'd like to hear from one chocolate famous country to another, and a spotlight on our host country for 6 decades. Please allow us to welcome the State Secretary for Economic Affairs, Ms. Hélène Budliga Artieda, to share her thoughts on our partnership.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy birthday, ITC. What a joy and an honor to be with you today in person. Dear Pamela and your team, I congratulate you. I've learned a lot. People are standing on your shoulders, you're holding hands, and Solomon just taught us that you also support spiritually. So next time I'm facing a difficult situation, I know to whom I have to turn. And thankfully, you're not far away from where I do business. And you would all agree with me, since we're celebrating ITC, we should also celebrate the parents, I guess, who did visibly a fantastic job to bring this child up, who is 60 years old. I'm a tad younger. I feel young. I don't know how about you, but I think we're full of energy. So my congratulations to the parents. One parent, an important one, sits here. My good friend, Director General Dr. Ngozi. I think WTO has done a good job, and you've been supported by UNCTAD. So we're all proud about this child of ITC. I represent the hosting country, you heard. I don't know if that makes me the auntie, the cousin, the sister. But in any case, for us, Switzerland, it's truly important to be the host country for ITC. And we've been it for, as it was mentioned, 6 decades. So we are not only celebrating the fact that we're all here in Geneva, but we're also celebrating the organization's achievements over 6 decades of commitment to global trade development. We are also celebrating a partnership which we really enjoy and which we will hope that it will continue more than 60 years. I think there's lots to do and lots of issues to tackle. And why do we feel so much at home when we talk to ITC? Because ITC is fostering innovation and is creating lasting change in the lives of individuals and communities. And this is what it's all about. We all know that we're facing geopolitical uncertain times, and creating a stable and more resilient trade environment is absolutely essential by promoting dialogue and cooperation among stakeholders in international trade. ITC plays a crucial role for finding collaborative solutions to global challenges. And I mean, we have to be honest, being in Geneva, we have to recognize that multilateralism is also facing some criticism. And we have to address that. And we believe that the programs of ITC and the mandate that you actually have helps to build trade-led growth for a more equitable global trade system. And that's the only way we can face this criticism. Now, I spoke about the partnership between the State Secretariat of Economic Affairs of Switzerland, SECO, and the ITC. My team actually went into the archives, and not to worry, it's all good news. They found the very first ITC Forum magazine from 1964, which mentioned Switzerland's keen interest in working with the new GATT Information Center, as it was called back then. And I will leave it at that. I'm sure they might have found other things, but I thought it was interesting to show on this birthday that Switzerland has been committed since 1964. And we are very honored that in this Geneva of global trade, every day important decisions are being taken, important decisions that foster business, and important decisions that make trade possible. And I think eventually it's all about improving human living conditions. So congratulations again. I want to keep it short because I understand we're running out of time. And the Swiss, we know something about timekeeping. You just allow me to say something on chocolate, since that has also been a topic. No, I fully agree. Switzerland, there are no chocolate trees growing. But the Swiss, as innovative as we are, you know what we did? We added milk. Thank you very much.
Best parting shot, you got us there. Thanks, State Secretary. We look forward to continuing this partnership for 60 more years and another 60 and another 60. We'd love to hear from the WTO Director General, Dr. Ngozi. Just as you come on stage, I will tell you, before you came, Pamela mentioned that we will be dancing after this. So just have that in mind. Please, a warm welcome to Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the WTO Director General.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's so heartening to see the room so full at this late hour. And I certainly won't be the one to stand between you and the dance. So I'll try to keep it very short and focused. I want to begin, I think everyone knows just how proud we are of ITC. I say it everywhere I go. And when I started the job as Director General, it was one of the nicest. Of course, I knew about ITC, and I had even written an article in a publication that had been done by ITC. I was one of the contributing authors. But it was a joy to find ITC because I believe that for the work we do, we have two sides. So WTO does the rules, the disciplines, and the agreements, which aim to try to unstick all those things in trade that are coming between people and a better life. Believe it or not, many people don't, outside of this room, I know all the people in here is preaching, people who know, and I'm preaching to the converted, but we have to keep repeating that trade is about people. So we have the rules and the discipline side and the agreements, all of which are very important. But sometimes at the end of the day, you want to touch people directly. You want to remove supply-side constraints that make it difficult for medium and small enterprises to work, for women to do their business. And this is what ITC does so well. And I found repeatedly in country after country, member after member that I've been to, that they had the kind of story we heard just here on stage to tell about ICT, the She Trades Hub, all the other activities that ITC has done, the work with the Enhanced Integrated Framework, all of that makes all of us look good. So I think I always tell Pamela, ITC is a rock star. She is a secret weapon along with ITC, and I'll say it again. And we're very, very proud of the work that ITC does. I'm happy that we are collaborating on one important item, which is the new WIDE fund, the fund to support women in digital trade. And I'm saying it because I see many donors in the audience. So my staff have told me to stop talking about this, but anyway, Helen is there, hi. Anyway, I see potential donors, yes, I will mention it. We are still fundraising, so if you have any contributions to make, just don't think of WTO, think of ITC and give more. But honestly, happy 60th birthday. We're really proud of you. I decided I wasn't going to do a formal speech and list all the accomplishments and all the things we need to do at this time when trade is facing so many difficult challenges, because we did that earlier in the day. And I think that this should be a place of joy, celebration, acknowledgement of the work done. And that's what I'm here to do. And I really want to give a big shout out to all the ITC staff. I talked to Pamela. Yeah. I'm proud of each and every one of you, and just keep working. We still have a big challenge in front of all of us, and you rock. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ngozi. You are always welcome to use our platform to speak with the potential donors. And thank you for those nice words about us being a rock star organization and a secret weapon. We are nearing the end. We are almost there at the reception. We just have a final few surprises and announcements in store. So for that, we welcome back our own Executive Director, Ms. Pamela Coke-Hamilton, who will share some new news.
Thank you very much. Let me first of all thank State Secretary Helene. Thank you so much for your kind words, and also for the milk, because I'm a lover of milk chocolate. I admit, we truly wouldn't be here without you. And Switzerland has been a supporter from the beginning, and we're very happy to be in Geneva. I want to also say that, for many of us, Geneva is a home that is stable, that keeps us working, unfortunately. But for many of us, raising our kids here, being here, it's a wonderful place to be. And I know that many of my staff are very happy to live here. And Director General Ngozi, you know, I wish I'd had you like as a teacher when I was growing up. You ever have those people who are your champions, you know? They're always shouting you out and bigging you up and, as we say in Jamaica, giving you props and bigging you up. Thank you. Thank you for always giving ITC props because they deserve it. The staff are one of the best set of staff I have ever worked with in my entire career. So thank you. Okay, so just to not keep you from the food, because I know that's why you're all here. So let's just go further. Without further ado, I'd like to show you all our new 60th anniversary publication. It's really a visual tour through the highlights of ITC's history, from our earliest moments to some of our most recent milestones. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and I'd say that doesn't nearly do these pictures justice. So I think we're supposed to be seeing, yes, the pages now. Are we flicking that or no? Or just showing the cover? Oh, it's just the cover? I thought you were going to go through the whole thing, sorry. Okay, so we will be sending it to our funders over the coming weeks and our partners and all member states. And everyone can also access it online on the ITC website. It's a publication that shows 60 years, and it starts in black and white. I know some of you don't know what that is, but there used to be black and white pictures. We didn't get the color till I think the 70s. But it does show how we've been transforming trade and changing lives, which, as it turns out, is also our brand new tagline. Transforming trade, changing lives. Because, once again, it's a human story. And our aim is to ensure that we change lives in what we do. It goes back to why we do trade as we do it, and more than anything else, it's an important aspect of why we get up in the morning. Because the truth is, sometimes the most ambitious and most honest messages are also the simplest. Straightforward. We transform trade, we change lives. And that's the message we'll continue to live by ourselves, which is why I'm also excited to share that next year we'll be convening the first ever global ministerial dedicated to SMEs and SME issues. A ministerial that will be driven by our firm belief in collaboration and our unfailing dedication to sustainable development. A ministerial shaped in consultation and collaboration with our funders, our partners, and the people we serve. A ministerial that will usher in the next chapter of our history together. So, let me take this opportunity as I stand here to say thanks to a few people. I want to say thanks to the team, to Sibile, Mujinga, Ola. Can you all stand up? Evelyn, Susanna, Christina, Razan, Sophia, Lorena, Skylar. These have been the people who've made this happen. Behind the scenes, you know, doing the late night running, ensuring that we show up where we're supposed to show up, and telling us what we should do. But more than anything else, it's been their dedication to not just the event, but the cause. And that's what has driven them. It's not this event. It is their belief in the overarching cause and vision of what ITC represents. So thank you all very much. I'd also like to thank Dorothy, my deputy, who isn't here at the moment. She had a family emergency, but she has been a rock in the last 4 years. She has been one of those people who you know has your back, and you know you need that, especially in our world. And I'd like to give her my my thanks and my gratitude. There's also one last set of people who never get thanked because they're always the ones telling me to thank. So they're always the ones, remember to thank so-and-so and thank so-and-so. So I'd like to thank my cabinet. I'd like to thank Sasha. Who steers me in the right direction and remains calm when I go off. And basically is, in a lot of ways, the balance that we need sometimes when things aren't going quite right. And I'd like to say thanks to Roberta, to us. To Asen and to Mihaela. And so, having said these thanks, I hope I didn't miss anybody. Thank you all, and I welcome you to join us for our reception. It's not on the terrace because apparently a new rainstorm has come in, so it's going to be in the atrium. We're going to have dancing, reggae, and Afrobeats, is it? And we're going to have Caribbean African food. Now, that's really what I'm looking forward to. So, thank you very much, and I think we have a song that's supposed to lead us out. Where is she? Voila.
Hi, yes. Quite an inspiring afternoon, yes? Allow me to officially introduce myself. I am Lily Octave from the beautiful nature island of the Caribbean, Dominica. And from Dominica, we have something in our music that we call kadas. And so I'm going to present to you something that I know we all know in our Dominican way through kadas, okay? And I want to see all the Caribbean people in here. Caribbean people, just give me a little, oh, we have a lot of you. Okay, hi. Hello at the back, yes, hi. Hi, everybody. Okay, and I want us to also share some love because I think we ought to give some love to the 60 years of effort, trading effort that has successfully been done by the ITC. Let's just give them some love. Some love across the room. Ah, look at that. That's lovely. Yes? Awesome, awesome, awesome. So if you know this one, and I know you do, you can sing along, you can stand up, you can dance, because I know it's something that's going to move you, and we'll have a good time, yeah. One love, one heart, let's get together and feel all right. Hey. Singing, don't worry about a thing, that's right. Cause every little thing is gonna be all right. Say with me, come on. Singing, don't worry about a thing, yeah. Because every little thing is gonna be all right. I woke up this morning, smile with the rising sun, sang three little birds pitched by my doorstep, singing sweet songs and melodies pure and true, saying, this is my message to you. Sing it, saying, don't worry about a thing, yeah, cause every little thing is gonna be alright, it's gonna be alright. Say, don't worry about a thing, yeah, because every little thing is gonna be alright, it's gonna be alright. See, I woke up this morning, smiled with the rising sun, three little birds pitched by my doorstep, singing sweet songs, melodies pure and true, saying, this is my message to you. Saying, don't worry about a thing. Don't you worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. Say, don't worry about a thing, no, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Say, don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is gonna be alright. Say, don't worry, no, don't you worry, no way. Every little thing, just every little thing. Say one love, say it, one heart. Yeah. See, as it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. Oh yeah. Let's get together. Say, don't you worry, don't you worry. Don't you worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Say, don't you worry about a thing, don't you worry. Don't you worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Say, don't you worry, don't you worry. We're never ever gonna worry, 'cause this is my message to you. Thank you. Thank you so much.